Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. You're now listening to a live edition of the Narrator podcast. I'm your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. How's everybody doing on this wonderful Wednesday? Hump day. Almost over the hump. Weekend right around the corner. We made it. So, how'd you enjoy your 4th of July? Did you enjoy your family gathering, watch some fireworks? We'll unpack that a little bit today, a little bit later on this evening on the Narrator podcast. So first and foremost, welcome all my narrators. My narrators are my normal listening audience. They're the people that tune in regularly, and know what my podcasting platform is all about. And welcome to everybody else unfamiliar with my platform and currently listening right now, tuning in to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome to you too. So, about to dive right on into the content, get some business out the way. First of all, the Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, reciprocity, and positivity. Narrative Podcast offers positive frames of reference about original people and original culture. So now I'm going to give a brief overview of my podcast and give you a brief synopsis of the content that I'll be going over this evening for all new listeners, all my narrators. They already know. This is for the new people. So getting underway, start at the very top, tippy. Start at the name, the narrative. The Narrative Podcast. All right, I came up with that name because the media weaves a false narrative about original people and original culture. They depict this in the most negative light possible. And what I want to do to make up for that is design a platform where I'm highlighting our successes and showcasing and highlighting this in a positive light instead of, a negative one like the media does. They focus the lens on all the negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and within our culture. So, basically they're weaponizing the media against us. They do this intentionally. They do it for profits, to sell news, because there's nothing more interesting than original people. We're literally $1 billion a year industry just reporting on anything we do, whether it's positive or negative. But the negativity is what really sells, what really, engrosses people. They want to hear what we're doing at all times. So that's what the media does. They give them the negative headlines about our people and our culture. They play up all the negative stereotypes about our people and within our culture to sell news. They also do it to help the higher echelon, wealthy elite class people stay in power, because those people want to keep a pristine image about themselves and pretty much throw every other class and race under the bus by making themselves look holy and pure, and everybody else look defiled, dirty, and down bad and broke. So, it's also used to help, the wealthy people, upper class, aka white people, sustain a socioeconomic stronghold over everybody else. Now they do it to everybody, but they especially love doing it to our people. They love doing it to our people the most because out of everybody else, they fear us the most. And their biggest fear is if we stop fighting each other, we start networking and working together, and took time and used our big, beautiful brains that we have and figure this thing out, that we would do to them what they've done to us. That's their biggest fear. But I digress. Some more things about my platform. First of all, I try to keep it time efficient. I try not to exceed 1 hour in a broadcast. During my regular broadcast, I broadcast regularly every single weekend, and I just randomly go live during the weekday, like today. I never know what days that I'm going to go live during the weekday, just whatever time I have available. So today I have today available to sit and chit chat with my audience. So, I'll be doing a live broadcast today. And for my lives, I try not to exceed 45 minutes, but I think I'm already going to exceed that. I'm not going to hit that target goal today because I got a late start point. I started out later than I meant to. So yeah, that's out the window for today. But the reason I try not to go over so long is because I want to engross my listeners. I want my content to cohesively flow. And I want, a very clear starting and stopping point for all subject matter that I cover on the Narrator podcast. So I try to make it, time sensitive. Because I don't want to, hold my listening audience up. I don't want you to just have to listen to me all night. I don't want to talk all night. I just want to, get right to the point, shoot straight to the meat, put the knowledge out there, make the knowledge accessible. I don't want to dumb myself down or water myself down, but at the same time, I don't want to shoot over people's heads. I want to include everybody because we're all at different, learning places. Some of us got high range vernacular, some of us don't. Some of us are, avid readers, some of us are not. So I just want to have a platform where I'm making, trying to accommodate everybody, basically. I got some content for everybody at all levels. So yeah, I want to stay right in the middle. So another thing, my tagline is the Narrator podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time, but destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes? I provide positive frames of reference about original people and original culture, like I'm going to be doing this evening. My ultimate takeaway I want all my listeners to get from my content, if nothing else, is the importance of sharing positive content on whatever platform that you occupy. So, and the reason for that is just like the previous reason that I stated before, the media is being weaponized against us. So basically, we need to be putting out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, because people outside of our culture, all they're giving about us is negative frames of reference. All they have is negative references to pull from about our people and our culture. negative television shows, negative movies, negative, periodicals, negative literature, books. We're depicted negatively in books. So that's all the frames of reference about our people that they're giving is, all negative ones. So now we're living in the digital age, and these days people judge you based on, the content about yourself that you're posting online. Now, what's that say about us as a people if we're embracing the negative stereotypes about ourselves by posting it online? If we're, constantly posting gang culture, gun culture, drug culture, thought culture, pimp culture, whore culture, violence culture, bully culture, like all these negative things people say about us and think about us. It's not about caring about what people say and think about us. It's just about, reclaiming our power and reclaiming our mantle as original people. And reason being, just telling our story. If we're going to tell our stories, tell it correctly. That's what this whole podcast is about, is telling our story correctly. That's it and that's all, and that's what I want my listening audience to understand is how important it is to share, positive frames about reference about our people and our culture. This is why I call my listening audience my narrators, because living in the digital age, we have the unique opportunity to tell or narrate our stories. So what we need to be doing is posting, using our digital platforms intellectually. We need to be posting stories about leadership, entrepreneurship, family structure, community, a sense of involvement in community, stories about us being pillars in our community, stories about us, overcoming and triumphing in the face of adversity, stories where we're helping less fortunate, stories about, our sacrifice and just our indomitable nature. That's the stories about our people we need to be sharing, not, leaning into the negative stereotypes spewed about us. So that's what I want people to get about, what we need to be doing online, what types of stories we're sharing online. That's precisely what I'm going to be doing this evening. I'm going to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture via headlines, and then also going to deliver some commentary after I'm done sharing articles. And the reason why I'm doing that is to control the narrative, because the media have us looking and sounding crazy. So when I share commentary about whatever's going on in the world or whatever's going on in our community, because when the story breaks, the media do their best to have us looking and sounding crazy. So when I deliver my commentary, it's through our eyes, from our perspectives, and through our point of view, like just telling our story. Basically, I'm controlling the narrative when I'm delivering commentary on various issues and subject matter pertaining to our people, or just whatever's going on in the world through our eyes. All right, so one last thing before I dive into the content. On this platform, I refer to our people as original people versus black. The reason why I do that is because I feel original is a better word to describe our people versus black. I kind of go over this spiel a lot. I'm not going to try. I always end up going off on a side tangent. I'm gonna try to keep it super brief tonight, as brief as possible. Why? But if you you can really consult previous episodes. I'm over 200 episodes in, so I do my best. Essentially, why I believe referring to our people as original versus black is because we were here originally before every other culture in the world. Like, we are the mothers and fathers of civilization. We originated civilization. Before anything we were. We were here first. We were fully formed. We didn't have a sloping posture. We didn't have a cranial overbite. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We didn't evolve from chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas. What else? What other kind of primate species are there? We didn't evolve from none of them. None of them like furry creatures with the opposable thumbs that we evolved from. We was already fully intelligent, standing up straight, creating things. We didn't come out of no primordial ooze. We were just here, creating cities, creating land masses and building structures. You know, we gave the world everything. Got credit for almost nothing. Contrary to our unpopular belief, we inhabited all corners of the globe, not just Africa, and we didn't get to all them other places via slave boats. We was already just indigenously located on all these other, places on the planet, especially here in the Americas. Like, especially North America was already here, Central, South, already there, parts of Asia, parts of Europe, Australia, Germany, already there. But anyway, more to the original. See, I said I was going to try to keep it short and brief, but you kind of got to, give the reason why. So in short, trying to shorten it up, trying to make a long story short, literally trying to make a long story short here. So basically, we originated written language, we originated spoken language, and when we originated language, we created the word black. And when we created that word black, it meant something positive, it meant something powerful, it meant something opulent, it meant something intelligent, it meant something, classy, refined, but other people that did not resemble us took it and defiled it and dirtied it up and made it mean something negative. Matter of fact, they went so far as to associate all negative things with the color black, a word recreated. And more to the point, they made it mean, death, destruction, the end of all things, and darkness, evilness, wickedness, confusion, disease, pestilence, famine, you name it. That's what they made it mean. And then they go one step even further to link it directly to our people. When you go look up in a dictionary and you look up the color black, you will see most of them link origin. They would say, people possessing a dark pigmentation or dark-skinned people originating from Africa, and then they go into all these negative things about the color black. So it's psychosomatic. Legally here in America, the laws of the land is basically like when you're saying you're black, you're dead. Yeah, legally, that's what that means. But anyway, The word original has no negative connotation surrounding it. It basically means the beginning. Um, and in many cases, it means the best. And I feel that's an more appropriate way to describe our people because we was here first. And, you know, we're good at a lot of stuff. Like nothing trumps the original. You want the original copy. Everything pales in comparison to the original. We are the original man and woman of this planet. The original natural man and the original natural woman. Everything descended from us. Using the word original also is a binder. It unifies our people because we have many different varieties of our people, everything from flesh tone, darkest of the dark, lightest of the lights, class, upper class, lower class, political affiliations, geographic locations, language, dialects of language. We got all these things dividing us, but the one common denominator we got to unify us is original. We're all original men and original women, meaning we were here first. So no matter where you hail from in the world, whatever pronoun you refer to yourself as, you are an original man or an original woman. So original is just better befitting to describe our people than black on so many levels. And that's what I strive to do here on the Narrative Podcast. Now, the exception to that rule is if I'm reading the article and in the article it literally says black, I'm not going to sub out original to replace black. I'm not going to do that. It ain't that deep. It's deep, but it ain't that deep. So, other than that, that was just my stance on original versus black. And I think I covered everything. And if I have enough time this evening, I'll walk you through a full synopsis of what you would have to look forward to for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Other than that, I'll just this evening be sharing some positive articles that came across my radar, and I commentate on some current things happening around the world, through our eyes, through our lens, from our perspective. So if I don't have enough time to go over my full format, I at least will tell you to, listen to my last recorded episode of the Narrative Podcast, which would be, I believe in the episode log, we're at 250. So see 250 for my full format. If I this evening don't make it to that, because my time is limited, I try not to exceed 1 hour, and I think I already discussed that. So here we go, going in, diving into the content on a Wednesday, hump day, on the Narrative Podcast. Oh, forgot to do one more thing. Forgot to usher it in. It's usually like right after my intro music, I do this, my station bumper, but I forgot to do it. I'm just so excited.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
All right, that felt good. That felt right. So here we go, Narrative Podcast, diving in with this evening's articles. Now, before I share the articles, I guess I got to tell you why I'm sharing the articles. Sharing articles to provide positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. The purpose of me doing that is because we're bombarded with so much negativity. We very rarely see or hear positive news. So when I'm sharing these articles, I'm trying to, put positivity in the atmosphere and inspire people to share positive news that they come across like I did, because if I don't share these types of stories, like how would you ever even know unless you're following a whole bunch of black stuff online like I do? That's the only way I know it, is because I follow all kinds of, black stuff on all my social media platforms, on my Twitter, on my Facebook. And that's the only way I get any type of positive news about our people and our culture. So when I'm sharing these articles, I'm trying to normalize positivity, because, we've become accustomed to normalizing chaos and dysfunction. Like, we normalize that. We've been programmed and conditioned to believe, current breaking news about our people and our culture is all supposed to be negative. We're supposed to embrace Ray Ray shooting Pookie. We're supposed to embrace stories about carjackings and bank jackings. We do positive things in the world, and that's what these articles symbolize, is just us doing positive things in the world, in our community, and being contributing to society, not draining and taken away from society, as we're always being portrayed as doing. So, first article of the evening on the Narrator podcast. The headline reads, HBCU grad becomes youngest black person, see what I mean? Told you I was going to do that. Youngest black person to receive Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. And this young sister's name is Angel Rich Jones. She received award for leadership and outstanding services. It's an annual award. It's presented to people excelling in, providing charitable work in the community, doing outreach, doing entrepreneurial type projects, such as, offering the community financial literacy, all types of, the way, if you're familiar with fraternities and sororities, the way they're nonprofit organizations, how they give back and service to community, like feeding the homeless, and, maybe like a book bag drive for the children going back to school, and all kinds of, charitable type of events such as that. So, but anyway, she got presented that award by none other than Joe Biden himself. Not really too much more in the article about that. She just received the award for her, good, hardworking character, her work ethic, and being dedicated to community service, servicing the community. So let's join me in a warm narrative podcast round of applause to Sister Angel Rich Jones for receiving that award. Next article here on the Narrator podcast. The headline reads, Meet Detroit mother and daughter duo who just graduated from nursing school together. And this is the story of Sheila Davis and her daughter, Michelle Davis. Sheila's a Detroit native. She's been in the nursing field for 20 years. She wanted to do more with the profession. She wanted to, get something under her belt, and she decided to attend nursing school at Toledo, Ohio, uh, at Honduras College of Nursing, and she ended up graduating. There wasn't really too much more in the article, like what she's planning to do with her new, degree and whatnot, or if she's planning to go back for more education, in that field, because after you get your nursing, of course, you want to get your medical billing associates. It's like more stuff in that field you know how to do. But anyway, that's still a noteworthy accomplishment and something we wouldn't hear every day. Because like I said, the powers that be, they only want to feed us and bombard us with negativity about our people and our culture. They don't ever want to highlight and showcase us doing positive things. But I showcase and highlight us doing positive things on the Narrative Podcast. And I challenge all of you out there in podcast land listening to me tonight on my live broadcast to do the same. Share positive stories about our people and our culture on, your digital platforms, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram, or whatever you occupy. Share positive stories about our people as opposed to always embracing the negative. But anyway, please join me in a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for Sheila and Marsha Davis and their accomplishment of graduating and achieving or obtaining their nursing degree. All right, next article on the Narrative Podcast headline reads, former teen mom and her son graduate together from Georgia State University. There wasn't nothing else in the article. It didn't say, what degrees they earned. It just only, told that they graduated together. But the sister's name is India Thomas and her son Kamel Thomas. So please join me in giving a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause to India Thomas and Kamel Thomas for graduating from Georgia State University. Getting down to the nitty gritty, I got 2 more articles. This evening I'll be done sharing articles and then I'm going to dive into the commentary for tonight. All right, going on in. Next article on the Narrative Podcast, live edition. Headline reads, 7 inmates make history as the first to earn college degrees from Yale College's Prison Education Initiative. So basically what that is obviously, like you just said, an initiative for inmates to get the opportunity to take studies at Yale College. If you're not a fan of my podcast or unfamiliar with my podcast, you know how I feel about those Ivy League colleges. It's not a prestigious honor at all to be in attendance at an Ivy League college. They don't teach you any more than the HBCU. It's just name recognition. It's literally just a foot in the door. This is why Caucasian people attend Ivy League colleges just for that name recognition to get in and be like, that can really get you far on the job interview. They're like, oh, look at your resume. Oh, you went to Harvard or you went to Oxford or you went to Langley. Like I was Oxford, man, and and then bam, you're in there at a Fortune 500 company. That's really all that is. They don't really, teach you anything intellectually rivaling an HBCU or just, for that matter, a darn community college. You don't learn anything more scholastic. It's just name recognition. That's all it is. But kudos to those brave souls that had the courage to, volunteer to take that program and to walk it down and graduate. Because being incarcerated, you got all kinds of things pressuring you. You could end up going to the hole for the rest of your sentence. Already sentenced for 5, you can easily get your sentence longer, doing something dumb, like losing your temper or whatever, and get more time added to your sentence. But, kudos to all them gentlemen for resisting the urge to, embrace the negativity and end up making their prison, sentence longer. So having the fortitude to complete the program upon being enrolled in the program. It didn't list all their names. It only released one inmate's name. Like all of them graduated, but in all the articles that I came across in regards to the article, only one name was released, and the one name was Alpha Jayla, ALPHA, JALLOH. So the program started in 2018. They was the class of 22, and they just graduated. And so it wasn't a vocational skills training. This is actual, Yale college studies. So this is like the Fortune 5 stuff. This is like business, college and all that. That's what they graduated with. So, join me in giving these gentlemen that attended this particular program. Join me in a Warm Narrative podcast round of applause for their accomplishments. All right, last but not least, save the best for last. And when I read the headline, you will see why. Last article of the evening, the headline reads, rapper Slim Thug bought a neighborhood and built a community of homes. And this is special because we don't hear too many rappers doing positive things. When we hear about people in the hip hop community, it's usually like going to school, going to jail, or doing something, committing some type of violent crime, something messy. If it's not committing a crime, it's a love triangle. It's, doing something in the eye of the public, being disorderly or conducting themselves badly. But Brother Slim Thug, he went and literally bought the block. He started a company called Boss Life Construction. He founded in 2018 with a person named Corey Crawford and Troy Green. And their initiative is basically to provide people of the Fifth Ward in Texas affordable housing. He also offers jobs because it's a construction company, so he offers, the initiative to get the training to, do construction. So they got everything from unskilled labor in construction to skilled labor in construction. And they're giving you the tools to do that. So join me in a warm narrative podcast round of applause to Slim Thug and Boss Life Construction. So that's it, and that's all for my articles tonight on the Narrative Podcast. And now we're going to get up into the nitty gritty. I want to address some headlines, some breaking news. Not really even breaking news, just like, stuff I feel noteworthy to talk about. Things like currently happening in the world today. All right, so unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard about the riots over in Paris. And they started over the shooting death of a 17-year-old North African person. Nahel M, Nahelm. That's what it says on all the sources that I pulled it up. But essentially, he was shot dead by a police officer. I'm still getting a whole lot of different stories. Some say he was in a cab when he did it. They reached in and blew his brains out like that. And then other articles is he got out of the cab. So, but longer story short, they killed him. And it's not really a shocker. Anywhere where original men and original women exist, oppression follows. Oppression by the powers that be follows. So I would say the reason why they're rioting in France was the same reason why they was rioting here in Minneapolis and down south when George Floyd got killed. They're tired of being tired. Because when they ask for change, when they ask for help, the government, they can't get it just like us. And, you don't hear them until they start rioting. Then after they start rioting, okay, now you want to dialogue, now you want to sit down, now you want to talk. But why do we have to get to that level in order for you to hear us? So I hear them and what they're going through. And then now in riots, if you watching the news, most of the people rioting, in America, was not original men and original women. A lot of people rioting are people that possess a warlike nature. Most of the people rioting are Caucasian. And they're just out there tearing up stuff because it's in their nature to tear up stuff. They don't care about the young man that got shot. They just know they're taking the opportunity for carnage and mayhem. They don't care nothing about, him being shot. They're in the streets rioting because, they're taking the opportunity just to tear some stuff up. But, for here in America, I feel their plight because that takes us back to, George Floyd. It takes us back to Ahmaud Arbery. It takes us back to Mike Brown. It takes us back, to any generation you want to take it back to, throw it back to here in America. We can throw it back from the time America was conceived. We had stories like that. From the time America was conceived to the time our police force was conceived, we had stories like that. So we definitely deeply empathize and sympathize with what's going on in Paris, and we truly are connected with our brothers and our sisters over there. However, you know, after they're done, after they got all that out of their system, they got to put away, come up with a way to constructively combat that monster that they face every day. Like we in America have to come up with constructive ways to combat the monster we face every day. So that's it, and that's all. That's my spiel on that. Next article I want to talk about, or next thing, trending news, breaking news, whatever you want to call it, around the world, is they're banning the shiesty all over America. Like dudes is wearing shiesties, and if you're unfamiliar what a shiesty is basically like, or it is, it's a pullover face mask or a ski mask. It's shiesty. They call them shiesty because people that wear them are usually doing something shiesty. They're usually committing a breaking and entering, a home invasion, a carjacking. That's the people that usually adorn those masks in the hood. That's why they call them shiesties. They're usually up to something shiesty. But if you're from a state, a four-season state, the shiesty, then, it makes sense for it to, you wear it on your face to protect your face from the elements as it's designed to do. So if in the winter time in Chicago, the context, perfect, because it's freezing. They don't call Chicago the Windy City for nothing. It's cold. So if you're walking around outside, you would need a shiesty. It's a different kind of cold up there. Denver, Colorado, walking around in the wintertime, Denver, Colorado, you would need a shiesty. Upstate New York, shiesty, you would need one outside for those elements, those Arctic cold elements. Another reason why people was wearing them was, of course, for the convenience. When that invisible thing hit us, because people was losing the little M9 masks. They was losing them, putting them in their pocket, losing them. So like when the thing hit, the shiesty was definitely, came through in the clutch. Because how the hell are you gonna lose a shiesty? It's literally on your neck. You can't leave it sitting down somewhere. You would always have it. So all you had to do is pull it over your face. Because when the mask mandate was mandatory, the shiesty definitely came in handy for that, because you can't lose it. It's like literally attached to your head, like it's on your, it's on your head, it's on your neck. Can't lose it. But now, like it's like 23, so it was 2021 when the thing first hit. We're safe to say it's pretty much a non-issue now. Now, it's optional if you feel safe. No merchants, no buildings. Most buildings, I'll back that up. I say most buildings and most merchants aren't pushing mask policy. You got a few ornery people out here pushing mask policy. Like there's still some ornery upper society type people, dominant society people, pushing mask policy on some ornery-ish. So you definitely would need like at least one of them M9s or whatever, the little, the surgical mask on you. Just keep keep one of those in your pocket just in case of somebody, you're somewhere and like, put your mask on or you can't come in, you know. So that's why I carry one on me for instances like that. But, it's July. If you're walking around in the hot ass, especially if you live down south, like if you're in Texas or like, California, Texas, somewhere hot, and you walking around with a shiesty mask, A, you look stupid. And then B, like you're just inviting the police to do something to you. You don't need to be walking around with a shiesty anymore. Like, free your face, bruh, free your face. Why you got a shiesty in the summertime? And like, this is what I hate about hip hop. Cause some trends are cool and some trends aren't. And the shiesty trend is not cool for, our young men, our youth. Like they 12, 13, 14 years old. They think it's cool to have on a shiesty. Like, what do you need a shiesty for, bruh? If you're not doing nothing shiesty, you don't need a shiesty. That's like who people that wear shiesty, that's why they call them shiesty. They're up to something shiesty. They're breaking in houses and they doing carjackings. That's what those masks are for. Other than protecting your face from really Arctic cold climates. We are tropical people. A breeze feel Arctic to us. But yeah, man, this on the powers that be, I would be inclined to one of the very rare times I actually agree with the powers that be about banning the shiesty because it's stupid at this point, and it can save your life. Because them filthy beasts, when they burst on the scene, they ready to kill you at the drop of a hat. They're looking for anything they can look for. They're looking for any type of resistance, any type of wiggle room to pull that trigger and drop you. And the shiesty is one of them. Back up. Just trying to back up. Black man wearing a shiesty. 10-4, copy over. Like, why you got a shiesty on, bruh? It is July. It's July. One of the hottest months of the year. Why are you wearing a shiesty? That don't even make no sense. It don't make no sense. Like if it's for that thing, you need to feel safe, then just get you a surgical mask right now. A surgical mask, can't nobody be mad at a surgical mask. Can't nobody be mad at just one of the ones that go over your face, but like all over your head, then no. The exception to that rule is if you're like a diabetic and have to have a full body sock on. Because some diabetic people, they have to have the full body sock on. That will be the only exception. But like at this point in this thing, this V thing, the thing that shut down the world, that's not an excuse to be having a shiesty. Like if you're that worried about it, just get a regular, medical mask. Not a shiesty. All right, last little topic I want to talk about, or I think I actually have talked about, and seems like I'm gonna have to keep remixing because it keeps on popping up. Last article of the evening. Apparently, our sister of like basically royalty within our community. Um, Tracy Ellis Ross, the daughter of iconic legendary singer actress Diana Ross. You know, she is caught up in a little whirlwind debacle over her body. So apparently, the blogosphere and the Twitter sphere and the Instagramosphere is in the uproar over her latest pictures. And people have been saying some mean-spirited stuff. And then it also is division, got us divided over it as a community. Because, we're having all these little side conversations and arguments. So on the one side, okay, well, I kind of jumped ahead of myself. Let me tell you about what it's about. So apparently, she posted some thirst trap pictures. We call them thirst traps. Just like provocatively dressed, like poses, that could be construed as provocative, sexually provocative, or whatever. Like either semi-nudes or full-on nudes. Now her pictures was semi-nude. And her picture that got the internet going crazy is because she was clutching her breasts. And it got the internet going nuts. So like I said, within our community, we're split down the middle. One half is like, why in God's name would you do that? You 50 years old, show some class, show some decorum. And then the other side is like, good for her. She looks amazing at 50. Bravo. And I think here's where I addressed it at last time when our sister Holly Berry had posted a pic on social media. Her pic was she was standing on a balcony and she had her robe open and there wasn't not nothing underneath. Like nothing. Just she got her robe open and you saw what you saw. So, all right. So, give you some context on Tracy Ellis Ross. First of all, she's a dynamic actress. She's most famously known for her work on Girlfriends, the sitcom Girlfriends, when that was on the air, and then most recently Blackish. So Girlfriends and Blackish, those are her biggest accomplishments over her belt. But before that, Tracy Ellis was modeling. She was an international model since age 16. Like she's been modeling in Paris, France, since she was 16 years old. Now she's 50. Now I became a fan of her when she was on this show called the Lyricist Lounge. This show that used to debut on MTV. She was hilarious when she was on that show. Like she did this one skit. When she did this one skit, she was like busting people out in a porno shop. Like she was like calling people out. They was trying to be all low key and like cover their face and everything. It was a skit though, but it was a skit show. So not only, did she do skits, they would have a segment in the lyricist lounge where people was doing hip hop ciphers, and she was in that. So, but anyway, point being, dynamic, talented women. Um, but my argument that I constantly keep making about our sisters when it comes to their nudity is just, it breaks down to, it's all about context. What is the context behind it? What's the context behind the nudity? Why are you naked? So the common reason that most of our sisters in the entertainment industry get naked for, they allege, is artistic expression, is art. Most of them, they allege it's art. So like most of our sisters, they go nude, whether it's semi-nude, whether it's full-on nude. They say it's art. They say it's usually wearing these dresses designed by these European fashion designers that showcase and highlight, their breasts and their derrieres naked. Most of these dresses, like ain't nothing. And they do this intentionally for our sisters because they don't do it for Caucasian women. They do this specifically for our sisters. And an analogy I keep using in that is the story of Sarah Bartman. If you don't know who Sarah Bartman is, Google her. Basically, when they do that to our sisters, that's modern day Sarah Bartman. Sarah Bartman is a slave that came over to the shores of America, Europe, and they basically put her in a cage, and she was butt naked. She was a circus freak, and they put her in the cage because of her bodily dimensions. They have never seen a butt that big. They never seen breasts that big before, like in that region of Europe that she was at before Sarah Bartman came over. They had never seen lips that broad. They had never seen breasts that big. They had never seen a backside that big. And so they made an actual, freak show out of her. She was a living freak show. And then later on, within the confines of her contract, not only did they have her butt naked behind the cage, they also one-upped the ante and let men, for a set amount of price, have their way with her sexually, like get it on with her. When Sarah Bartman died, she had over 20 communicable diseases. And at that time in Europe, they wasn't even bathing themselves. They wasn't even properly bathing themselves. So, they wasn't doing anything to maintain her feminine hygiene if they wasn't even properly bathing their damn selves. But more to the point about Miss Ellis Ross. So yeah, I always say context. What is the context behind nudity? Why are you getting nude? And the proper context for nudity should be in this alignment. It is actual art. There are some like actual living art pieces that's beautiful, and they use like shadows and lines to tell a story with their nudity. I seen one where it was a whole bunch of naked women, and they had like body paint on, and it was like they made like 4 or 5 of them made a tiger. They all had tiger stripes on them, and it was like, okay, they're a tiger. They're naked, but they're a tiger. And then there was one where they all had body paint on, and there was a frog, like 6 or 7 women and they made a fraud. So that's art. That's art for real. And then everything else is business. Now, if you're in the business of being naked, can't nobody fault you. That's how you earn your income. It ain't nobody's business. Like if you are a exotic dancer or stripper, the context would be either it's your page, your personal private page, stripper page, or like the stripper, like Magic City, their page. If you're a Magic City stripper and you're using your nakedness on the Magic City page, stripper page, that makes sense. If you're an adult film starlet, if you're in adult movies, then your nakedness makes sense. If you got your own page advertising your own movies that you star in, that makes sense. Or like if you're on the website of the film, like the film, whatever film company that produces your, adult films, on their website, you're naked, that makes perfect sense. That's perfect context. If you're an Instagram model or OnlyFans model, that's the perfect context because it's business. Like you gotta sign permissions, you gotta click on that. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't go to them sites and claim the nudeness offends you because you done signed all these permissions and you know what you signed up for. So like you can't get on the moral high ground to say you're offended by their nakedness in that, dynamic of it. So it always goes back to what's the context of your nudeness, of you being nude. Because as an entertainer, if you're an actress or if you're a female R&B singer or if you're a female rapper, our sisters, because even though you didn't sign up for it, there's, little young sisters up there looking at you being naked. And in their mind, well, she's naked and she's beautiful. I want to be beautiful like her. I'm going to show my nudity at school to, other boys that I like. I'm going to send them nudes, because in their young minds, they don't have any guidance. They don't know they don't know the context of why you're nude. You know what I'm saying? So there's that to deal with. So when you get naked, think of that. Because there's going to be young ladies emulating you, getting naked or twerking or whatever. So, you always got to think about that. And with her, Miss Ellis Ross, she's biracial. So there's a lot of biracial young ladies looking up to her right now to feel beautiful because, be in that world, it's a conflict. It's, you're dealing with your original people side and then you're dealing with your Caucasian side or whatever. In her case, is Jewish. So what it breaks down to is what is the context behind it. Now, being like 52 years old, she feels like she don't deserve to have a context. It's my body, my choice. I'm grown. I do what I want to. And, if you got a problem with it, you're the one with the problem with it. You're the one with the problem. And then I understand that logic, but here's the problem with that logic. If you're an entertainer and you're putting it out online, it becomes my problem. Because when you take away your right to see it, then that's how it becomes a problem. When you just pull your phone out and you didn't sign up for it, you didn't sign up to see nobody naked, you don't get no advance warning, and it becomes a norm, it becomes normal, that's how it becomes an everybody problem. But then, but on social media, you also got the option of just scrolling. And in this particular instance, I'm going to say just scroll if you don't like it. And I'm going to say just scroll in this instance because it really wasn't distasteful. You couldn't see any nipples. You couldn't see the contours of her breasts. It was just, she had her hands on it. And she's not the first one. Like Janet Jackson, she did a magazine where a guy was holding her breast. I think it was Breast Cancer Awareness Month or something. And she did a black and white photo on a magazine. Somebody was holding her breast. TLC, the group, they were like nude, but they had their backs to the camera. It's like they didn't have any clothes on, but they did shadowing, so you couldn't really see nothing. And they was promoting safe sex. They was telling the story of safe sex with their nudity. So again, it's all about the context. What's the context of your nudity? What are you saying? If you're just naked because you want to be naked, you have to do it in the proper context. You have to be on a site, a website. You got to like either pay some money to get to or have to sign a whole bunch of permissions. Like, that's what you're getting yourself into to look at your nakedness. Like, you have to agree to see it. And in this instance, I would just say to all the people complaining and trying to, be on the moral high ground, like really just scroll. Just scroll. Like you're causing your own discomfort with this issue. Because there's like sisters out there, this butt, booty naked, like, got their thing open, like literally busting it open for the gram. Like got their hands down there, opening it all the way up for everybody to see. Like got your priorities wrong if you're mad at that. Cause it wasn't super duper risque. It was just like, alright. Now, the fact people saying she's 50 and she should have some decorum, I semi-agree with that sentiment. And I say semi-agree with it because there's an old saying, it's like 21 and dumb, over 21, and you do something, you're just dumb. Like, basically the saying is, I didn't get it right on the dot, but after 21, when you do something that you know is morally wrong or know is wrong, you're being like not intelligent or stupid. So after a certain age, you do have to exercise decorum, grooming about yourself. Just have to walk with a certain grooming. Like at 50, you shouldn't be showing your belly no more, even if you do have 8 million hours in the gym and don't have any, stretch marks. At 50 years old, you just shouldn't be walking around showing your belly. Decorum. On the man side of it, males, there's some brothers that don't want to take getting old. They don't want to take that decorum. They're walking around with their pants sagging, still wearing dicky suits at 50. There's some, still sagging at 50. Still, trying to dress like the young boys. Trying to wear the designer like the young boys, and like, not saying you should be just over the hill. You shouldn't, I'm not saying you should just be content with, like, if you're a man with, open-toed sandals and church socks. at 50, or if you're a woman walking around in a house coat at 50. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying embrace, the stereotype of getting old. Like, you don't have to be confined to a rocking chair and all that, the old people stereotypes, especially if you look well and preserved for your age, you work out and take care of yourself. And yeah, she is a nice specimen. She takes very good care of herself. She looks very nice. She kept herself up. Very nice specimen. If I do say so myself, yeah, she looks nice. But at the same time, it's all about context. It's all about decorum. Everything has a place. There's a place and time for everything, and everything in its place. So was it well timed, and was it in its place? I would say inclined to believe yes, because it's her Instagram page, and if you're offended, you don't have to follow her. And if you're not following her and that picture popped up in your feed, you can scroll past it. You can push hide if you didn't like what you saw. Case solved. Like, scroll past it, hide it if you don't like it. But at the same time too, our sisters in the entertainment industry, they have to be more selective of the outfits that they wear. And they got to be more selective of what they're saying with their nudity. Like, what is the story I'm telling with my nudity? Like, why am I naked? You do. Especially after a certain age, what is the purpose of me being naked? What's it doing? Is it an artistic expression, or am I selling something? Or like, am I dark industry? Like, what are you doing with your nudity? Like, why are you naked? Why is that a thing? Is it cultural? Is it artistic? Like, what? You know what I mean? You have to pick the reason. You can't just be naked because, well, it's my body and my choice. I can be naked if I want to. No, you can't do that. That's not going to cut it no more. And why is that not good enough for our culture? Because again, like I said, you got all these young ladies emulating your behavior. So you can't have that attitude. Well, it's my body, it's my choice. I'm sorry, they're just people like that. That's how they sound in my head. I can do it if I want to, and if you don't like it, don't look. It's not going to cut it no more. We got all these young ladies looking up. They want inclusion. They want a visual representation of what it means to be beautiful. They want their beauty defined. So, again, what is the purpose of your nudity? That's what you always got to ask yourself in our community, especially on these red carpet events. When you're going down this red carpet and you got your vagina and your breasts bare to the world, what are you saying with your nudity? And in those instances, like I said previously, before, it's the Sarah Bartman effect. These European fashion designers, they design these dresses, and then they just strategically get our sisters to wear them on these red carpet events, putting their nudity before the world, and they do that under the guise of being homosexual. They're like, oh, he ain't looking at me, he's gay, he ain't even looking at it all like that. Yeah, that might be true in a sense, but in the other sense, he's a man, and every time a man asks a woman to get naked, it's not all the time for sex, sometimes it's just for power, to feel powerful because I had you do something. So, he might be a homosexual man, but he's still a man. So, finishing my point, when you get naked, when you become nude, sisters, just always, what's the context behind the nudity? What are you saying with your nudity? Is it art? Is it really art? Or is it you, my body, my choice, or whatever? And so, if it's your body, your choice type of thing, you gotta let that be known. Put it in the caption, my body, my choice. You know? But something, like you can't like straddle the fence on it. Whatever it is, you gotta stand and be held accountable for it. Whether it's a your body, your choice thing, if it's art, if it really is art, if it's industry, like if you're a stripper, if you're an adult film starlet, if you're an Instagram model, if you're an OnlyFans model, you know, you gotta let your reason be known. Why are you naked? Or sometimes, you know, naked pictures, they get leaked. She might have did it for her boyfriend, she might have did it for her husband, and it ended up, you know, on social media. Sometimes that does happen. Like accidents do happen. Like your gallery could just mess around and glitch up and get to upload nudes. So, you know, that's a proper context. If it goes down in the DM, that's definitely a proper context. If you want to put your nakedness in somebody's DM, you know, that's between you and the person that you sent it to. It ain't nobody's business. I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be, I'm just like, nah, I'm just being silly. I'm just being silly. All right. Focus back on track. So yeah, it's all about context. What are you saying with your nudity? Just have the proper context behind the nudity. Make it make sense. That's what I'm saying. That's my final word on that. And that will conclude another episode of the Narrator Podcast. This has been a live edition of the Narrator Podcast. Join me this weekend. I broadcast every weekend without fail. The lives, I just now really start doing the lives. I randomly go live during the weekday. So to avoid missing a live broadcast of the Narrator Podcast from me, what you would need to do is follow me on YouTube, my YouTube channel. Subscribe to me, Halsey Allen, on YouTube. Hit the notification bell, or subscribe and hit the notification bell. My channel, Halsey Allen, it's just my viewer channel. I don't have one specifically for the Narrator Podcast. It's just my viewer channel, Halsey Allen, but all my Narrator Podcast episodes automatically upload to my YouTube channel, lives, and my full broadcast. So that's a good way never to miss me when I'm live is to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Halsey Allen on YouTube, and click the notification bell. Also, follow me on Twitter, Halsey Allen, HALLZIE Allen, and I stay good at Halsey on Twitter, and follow me there. And my podcast just automatically uploads to Twitter as well. Excuse me, I'm trying to struggle. I'm trying to think. The live podcast, the live editions, and the full broadcast, they just automatically upload to Twitter, you know, while I'm doing it. So follow me on Twitter, Halsey Allen at I Stay Good, or I Stay Good at Halsey. One of the two. figure it out. Just type in Halsey on Twitter and you should see me. I got my book pinned on the top of my page, the black card. That's how you'll know if you got the right Halsey. When you follow me on Twitter, you'll see my book of poetry that I wrote pinned to my page on Twitter, the black card. But more about that in a second. But those are the two methods in which to never miss a live broadcast of the Narrator Podcast. Now, speaking of the black card, I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. And what it is 30 poems. It's an all-encompassing look at all our experiences as a people that we encounter. You know, the culture, I'm doing air quotes, the culture, positive and negative, everything we experience within our culture as a people. 30 insightful poems indicative of everything we go through as a people. You know, real heartwarming, real witty, really creative. You'll really enjoy it. Do yourself the hugest favor and purchase the black card today or get your black card revoked. And to purchase the black card, you just simply go online to the Poetizer bookstore on poetizer.com and purchase my book by me, Halsey Allen, titled The Black Card. It's a good read, good coffee table read, good travel book. You will love it. Also, support my poetry blog. I write poetry. I got a poetry blog on blogger.com called Halsey's Poetry Corner. And the website address is www.mrhalseysblogs.com on poetizer.com, powered by Adam. And what that is basically, you know, poetry that I write in the moment, you know, just random poems, a collection of random poems that I've written in the moment. I don't premeditate about any subject matter, just like I'm literally in front of my device or a desktop and I just start typing, and then after I'm done, you know, that's the poem. So if I was rapping, it would be like a freestyle. But, you know, it's in poetry form, so go check that out. It's called Halsey's Poetry Corner, a collection of my personal poetry written in the moment. And the way you support it is share poems from Halsey's Poetry Corner on all platforms. You know, share it to your Facebook, share it to your Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Now the TikTok and YouTube, those type of platforms, you would have to probably like shout out Halsey's Poetry Corner, because you know you're in front of the camera. So, or unless you want to put it in your bio, the link in your bio, like in your description box. But other than that, for YouTube and TikTok, you would have to shout me out. But definitely just share poems from Halsey's Poetry Corner to all your platforms, whatever platform that you're active on. Share a poem from Halsey's Poetry Corner. And my tagline for my Poetry Corner is Halsey's Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. Getting towards the end, I kind of went over my time limit. Like I said, if I had time to go over my format for a full broadcast of the Narrator Podcast, I'll walk you through it, but it looks like I've exceeded my time, so I can't. So all I can do is tell you to listen to episode 250. That is, you know, my last full broadcast of the Narrator Podcast, and just see how I got it laid out on episode 250, like what you will be in store for when you join me this weekend for a full broadcast of the Narrator Podcast. And like all of my episodes, the way you help this podcast grow is to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast. So wherever you get your podcast from, whether it's from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast from, you know, they distribute this podcast, the Narrator Podcast, hosted by me, Halsey Allen. Just click the download button. You can also share it back, do reshares and favorites and all that. But what pays the bills is the downloads. So download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. Well, thank you for joining me this evening. That's it and that's all. Y'all, I'm out of here like last year. Join me this weekend for another full edition of the Narrator Podcast. I'm sending you love, light, healing energy. Please join me in the quest to change the narrative. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time, and I'm encouraging you, listeners, to change the narrative one social media post at a time. So that's it and that's all, y'all. I'm out of here like last year. Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.